Welcome to Moss Marketing Mondays, aka the M3 Podcast. Brought to you by Moss Marketing Group, bringing you everything marketing every Monday. Stay tuned for marketing tips and tricks you can use today. The M3 Podcast, marketing knowledge to help you succeed. Let's get started.
Dun, dun, dun. Welcome back to the M3 Podcast. This week, we have the MMG crew.
Oh.
We got Dre, we got Logan, and we got Ricky.
What up?
So this week, we're going to do something a little bit different, and we are going to go over different topics, and we are going to run it kind of as a speed round and run probably roughly about 5 minutes a topic. We just have so many questions every week from so many different people through all of our different social platforms on if it is marketing, if it is personal development, so many different, topics and things to cover that it's not enough to have a whole podcast on, but it's things that we can still address and people listening can go over. So we'll hit a topic, we'll go through answers, everyone will be super involved. And then also, if you are listening to this and you hear something that you want to get more information on, anything like that, feel free to reach out. Also, if there's things that you would like to hear discussion on, shoot us a DM or send us a postcard or something.
I would really love if we'd start getting some postcards. I don't know how many views we need to get postcards, but
we're about to start sending out postcards. That's actually something.
We need a P.O. box.
We have an office that has a mailbox.
Nah, P.O. box is where everyone ships stuff, guys. Have you ever been on Twitch before? Come on.
We don't have a Twitch account. We are a business that has a physical address.
I stick to MySpace most of the time.
Yeah. All right.
Send me a message on there.
So starting off, I will hit the first question, and it is going to be investing in growth. So what do you think the importance is in investing in the growth of you as a person on a daily level, weekly level, monthly level?
I mean, that's the only thing that's going to stay with you over the course of your life. Like, you could invest in a house and that something could happen in the house. Obviously, there's insurance and stuff, but if you invest in your skill set and in yourself, your ability to earn income goes way up. Your relationships are going to go way up. It really multiplies across your whole life.
Yeah. Your biggest asset shouldn't be external. It should be your own self.
So I remember right after high school and then college, I'm like, you know what? I took my last test. I was like, I'm done. And then literally less than a year later, Dane and I were studying to get our home loan license. And I was like, this test is a lot harder than the ones I took at college. But I was like, you know what? This one actually benefits me. Then I flew out to Utah to do finance school, more tests out there. And then that's kind of when I realized I'm like, just because you got done with high school, college, the tests never stop. They just become more relatable to your business.
And that's the thing. Think about how it felt after only a year of being away from it. Imagine if you get into a career and you're in that career for 10 to 15 years. You don't learn, you don't read anything. Then you go to make a career switch and say you have to take something like a realtor license test or and you could go back to reading, studying, trying to memorize stuff. It's going to be a hell of a lot harder for you.
That'd be tough. And even if you're not investing like a ton of money, you could consider obviously time's, I would say, a bigger investment. And investing in yourself to grow and learn means that you're exposing yourself to different stimuli and ideas. And if you don't do that, you're going to be having the exact same thoughts day after day after day forever until you're exposed to something that causes a different thought in the first place.
I think it's that. And then I think when you are interested in something and you just take up it as a hobby, so just learning about like a space you want to do and research yourself before you even start studying, you learn so much in such a fast amount of time. Like when we were looking at just getting into, I don't want to say marketing, but into the marketing business of everything from like back into Facebook, back into Instagram, back into all your social media platforms. I feel like we took in so much in such a fast amount of time. It was like, this is a lot. And then we progressed 10 times in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, and I think everything that we do, are you getting your time set there?
Yeah. Did you watch your clock?
I kind of rounded up like a minute or two, so I was going to the 45. So I was thinking this first one might be a little long, but I think very much in the growth aspect, investing in your growth. A lot of times people don't recognize what their actual investments are in their growth. That so many things take place in a day, and they look at it as that may have been a bad thing, or they may have looked at that as a failure. I have started looking at as just everything that takes place in my day. Every single day is an investment for me to be a better person, for me to be a better business owner, for me to be better at marketing, whatever it is. It's something that is happening. I either successfully overcome something or I fail at something, either or I took a step forward in learning how to do something better.
Yeah.
And that's where I've had to like kind of shift that thought process on viewing it all as everything is investing in growth. For me personally, business, everything, but it's more of a mindset, how you look at it.
How did you shift that process from?
I think that's a mindset that you have to get in place when things are happening at such a high pace all the time. When life starts moving really, really quick, you have to be able to start removing yourself from a situation, looking at it differently. And when you start looking at that situation differently, it's really fast for anyone that's in business and has been in business. They can tell you that things will happen quickly in a positive swing and a negative swing. But you have to be able to look at those either way and keep that positive mindset through all of it, because people are still following you. People are still on your team. People are still standing by your side. And if you cripple under pressure, the whole pyramid falls to where that mindset has to shift. It wasn't like an option, but it's once you start looking at that, one of those bad things happens. I look at what happened 3 years ago, something that would take place. Now I look at that as like, those aren't even on the radar anymore.
It's the same thing, just with more zeros.
Not even from a financial spot, but just from like obstacles that you're overcoming in a day-to-day operations. There's things that happen now that it's like, that used to be like a huge hurdle. Like that was the biggest thing we overcame in a month. And now it's like, that's something I can overcome before everyone even gets to the office. Like, so it's just those problems change. They elevate. Your problems become larger the bigger the operation gets, and your mindset just has to be able to operate and make it to where you don't cripple under pressure.
Yeah, your perspective on things changed.
Yeah. Well, I think we hit time on that one. On to the
Next. We need a next button.
Next.
You have the question.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't think I was just the
my
question
bad.
master.
I thought we were playing Dungeons and D&D. Yeah, I haven't actually played it, and I thought you were the question master.
I'm letting everyone know right now, I do not have any questions planned.
Everyone talks about goal setting. It's this big buzzword, but few people follow through on actually like taking the steps necessary to achieve their goals. What are some of the ways with goals that you've set that you make sure that you follow through, whether it's short-term or long-term?
I think you hit the nail on the head when you talked about it being a buzzword. And it's funny in society, that's became a buzzword at a very certain period of time. January time, goals are on everyone's radar.
New Year's resolution. Let's go.
Yeah. So it becomes all of a sudden relevant to everyone. Everyone's talking about goals, and you talk about following through. And I think a lot of times it's people aren't looking at them all the time. It's out of sight, out of mind. If you have goals, and like I'm telling you, I've been guilty of it. I put things in front of me. I'm like, this is a goal I have to achieve, and things start happening in other lanes of my life, and I start deviating away from that goal. And then it's like I come back into that lane. I was like, hey, I got off track. And when you're looking at them all the time, and you know what you need to be doing, and you also break them down to what needs to be done, to a monthly outline, to a weekly outline, to a daily outline, and really put those smaller benchmarks in place. I think people are great at making huge goals. People aren't so great at making short-term goals. So putting those short-term goals into place, and I think that makes it a lot easier to achieve those large goals. and you can always be moving that needle forward a little bit, making those small increments that add up to something big.
It makes it a habit. So if you have this really big goal, whatever it is, and you don't have some type of action step that you can take towards that each day, then it's just going to be, like you were saying, completely out of your mind. But if you have a small thing that you can do each day to get you closer to that, essentially checking it off that list, that's going to make a huge difference.
It's also really easy to procrastinate when the goal or the deadline is far out in the future. When you bring that forward, it forces you to take action. And I think that's why a lot of people avoid setting those benchmarks or creating the habits, is because it makes them actually take action on what they want to do.
I feel like you guys hit the nail on the head. I've been implementing some in my life. I gave myself a 3, 6, 9, and 12 month goal. And I know where I have to be at by each goal. So that's where it's a year-long goal, but I've gave myself like 3-month increments of where I need to be at.
Oh, yeah.
I think if I hit those 3 months and I hit, whether I'm over that, I'm obviously ahead of schedule, but still keeping on that right path to achieve that year-long goal. And I think if you do that, that can lead into a 5-year, a 10-year, 20-year. Because hypothetically, say you're right out of college, you're like, you know what, when I grow up, I want to have this amount of money. And then you just procrastinate every day. And then 20 years later, you're like, I didn't do anything. But it's because you never set a goal in place to achieve that 20-year-long goal until you were, 35, 40?
And a lot of times, too, that's the one thing is take 100 people, put them in a room, everyone has goals. A lot of people have very similar goals. The only difference is the actions that take place to achieve those goals.
Yeah.
And those actions that you put into place, like people talk about wanting to lose weight. People talk about wanting to make this much money in business. People talk about all these things they want. And my biggest frustration in life is people that just talk about ideas and what they want to do, and they have no action that goes with it.
Yeah.
So
you buy $2 lottery tickets and they'll get you there.
But I know tons of people that talk about they want to lose weight, but they eat ice cream every fucking night. And it's like your actions speak completely different than your goals. Towards your goals are worth nothing at that point.
It's really easy to be motivated.
It is.
It's not easy to be disciplined. And there's a huge difference. If you can figure out what both of those are and what it takes to stick with both of those, or to stick with the discipline side, you'll change your life.
Well, and if you keep doing the same thing every single day, you're going to get the same result. Yeah. Why would it change if you don't change?
Hey, aren't we all just one decision away from changing our lives?
Somebody's having a party out there and we weren't even invited.
What the hell is going on?
Looks like it stopped.
From what people can't see is Dalton is looking out the window.
He looks super majestic over there. All right. Well, that was perfect timing because that was at 5 minutes. So
I think we should talk time management tips and how has that helped everybody progress in life?
Time management's probably, I think that could be a whole podcast in its own.
Certainly.
That's definitely something really hard to tie into such a short period. It was something when I was in the car business, I actually was given a mentor life coach,
life coach,
not even willingly, but
you were assigned.
I was assigned one.
It was an expensive assigned life coach.
Yeah. And pretty much the whole thing that I went over with this guy every single week when we talked was my time. And it was crazy that I had calls with a human being week over week. And at that time, I thought it was the dumbest shit that I had to waste that much time every week talking to a guy about my time. And it made zero sense to me. He's like, I told him, I'm like, dude, I am so busy. I don't have time to take your call and deal with this shit.
Right.
And what I realized, I felt that busy because I didn't control my time, actually. I was out of control. And instead of being proactive to things, I was being reactive to everything going on in my life. Mm-hmm. And you see it with people in their lives that can't manage. I'm not talking just from a work aspect. I'm talking overall. It's because they're reactive to everything. And when I was working with him, he had me take a sheet every week or every day. And at that day when I got to work, I had to write down what I did every 15 minutes. And it really put into perspective pretty quickly how much extra time I had in a week.
Totally.
And I was like, that was the first time because we had I worked with him probably for a month and a half before he implemented this sheet. And he's like, this is going to be a requirement. And I'm like, screw this dude. I'm not doing it, blah, blah, blah. And then like our dad was on our case about it. So I'm like, all right, fine, I'll do it. Yeah. And I started going through the sheet and I was like, holy crap, I found like 2 extra hours today that I was just wasting, not doing anything. Then I like took that over a week and I was like, if I take a couple extra hours every single day, I'm like, I just achieved 10 extra working hours just by some whack time that I just had that was kind of just misplaced. So it's like things like that, using time blocking, using those different things I think can really change someone's life. And once you can start doing it in work, you can start implementing it in your personal life too and start. I hate when people say, I don't have time to go to the gym. It's complete bullshit. You just haven't prioritized it.
So I think it's crazy how quick it compounds and how much like you can feel like you were super busy and then you're super stressed out because of that. And at the end of the day, you just go home and you veg out on Netflix or something like that. And then that compounds into you staying up late. It compounds into you missing the gym and being tired at work the next morning. And then the cycle just continues on. And I think when you control your time and you still do like you can still watch Netflix or whatever, but maybe you shift your mindset around your time to where if you control your time all day and manage it well, then the Netflix at the end of the day is a reward and it's limited. And you can completely shift your thinking.
Well, and like if you schedule out everything you need to get done and then you actually get it done that day, you feel a lot better when you're watching that Netflix because you're not stressed out about what you still need to do.
You don't have that guilt when you're eating.
I think Ricky's trying to flex his time management on us on the podcast. Because Ricky is pretty solid with his calendar.
I've gotten a lot better at it recently, and I wish it's something that I started a long time ago, but it makes a huge difference. Because I used to have like just a big to-do list, and now instead of having a huge to-do list, like just plan when you're actually going to do this stuff.
So if Ricky can actually plug a picture of, you can block out what everything says, but what his Google Calendar looks like from, I don't know, 6 in the morning, 5 in the morning, till 9 at night, 11 at night, it's all color coded to everything within a 15-minute time span. And after seeing that, I sat there and I looked at my calendar. I'm like,
wow, it's wide open.
I'm like, I know I have stuff going on. It just doesn't look full. Because if you look at Ricky's, it's like 15 minutes I'm working on this project. This 5 minutes I'm taking a X amount break, brain dump. And then it's like going on to another 45-minute segment. And then I'm just sitting there. We actually talked about it a week ago on the Square One coaching call. And I was sitting there. I was like,
Dre lagged for
I did too. I was about to fill him in.
No, I sat there and I'm like, I have so much free time during my day. And then it's like a lot of things come up. So some of those times do need to be adjusted. But if you can have a baseline for what your to-do list needs to be throughout your day and just set them and give a 5-10 minute block in between each thing that needs to be done, you'll realize over a day, that's an hour or 2 hours you have free and then you're not actually that busy.
Yeah. And also think about how many tasks we do in a day that if we are 100% dedicated on working on that task.
I think if you can be 100% dedicated at a task, you can achieve it much faster, but life does happen. You do have things that come up to interrupt tasks.
I'm telling you, 95% of people in a work environment, I was the same way when I was talking to this guy about time blocking the car business. I'm like, bro, a customer walks in, I have to drop what I'm doing to help the customer. He goes, that's because you don't control your time. And I got to where like a client, like a customer walk in, they're like, and the salespeople, when I closed my door, they were not allowed in there. And they're like, oh yeah, you can meet with him at 3. But I had times that I'd blocked off to get tasks done because I would need to sit there and do all of the descriptions of cars. And I'd have to sit there and merchandise all of our inventory. And like when I would look at that, I would have 50, 60 cars that needed to get done. I'm like, dude, this takes me like 2 to 3 days, like, because I get interrupted every time. If I sat there and just blocked it off, I could get it done in 2 hours. Mm-hmm. To where I would just take like a 2-hour span on like a Monday or a Tuesday. I would shut my door and I'm like, everyone's leaving me alone. I'd turn music on in there and I'd just bust it all out. Yeah. But I was so much quicker at it because that's the only thing I was focused on doing.
So I think that also depends on prioritizing your time of what needs to be done and what you can fluctuate to getting done either in the morning or afternoon.
But it's the difference of owning your time and not owning your time. If you sit there and every single time somebody tells you to do something and they ask you to jump and you say how high, like you will always struggle with time.
Speaking of time, we're 2 minutes over on this segment.
Were you timing that?
Yeah. A good
Time
takeaway
management
from
doesn't
that-
matter on that one.
a good takeaway, I think, is a good first step to become self-aware with that would be to audit your time.
Yes.
Write down everything you do. during the
100%.
day.
That or use Google Calendar. Ricky
Well-
has,
Well, that's
Well,
the-
first
that's
you
the
have to-
solution. You have to identify
Yeah.
the problems first.
and then use Google Calendar.
This podcast is brought to you by Google Calendar.
Our new sponsor.
All right.
All right.
What is next, Dane?
Next one is going to be. I got a whole bunch of them.
We only need one, brother.
Yeah, I'm going to go into the importance of creativity in your life. So I think that's something that's very much in our lives, and we have the luxury of getting to work with that all the time. And what is the importance of people having creativity in their life?
Crickets.
I stumped Ricky. Is this? Can we?
Huh.
Can you document this? I think I
We're
got
gonna,
it.
we're gonna
Well,
really even
so-
slow that one down.
Creativity for me, I think.
He
it-
said, "Fuck you, Logan."
Ri-
I'm gonna get a beer.
He said, I'm gonna give you a second to think
Never
about
mind.
it.
I'll think about it.
So for me, I think it can go into business and personal. So we discussed this, us as a group the other day. In business, I think just coming up with new ways that you can improve your job and creative ways to solve issues within your job without it going to upper management. So either creating in your position of what you can fix in that instant, figure out the problem before you go to upper management. And then your personal life, also coming up with creative new ideas to make your significant other happy. So everyone gets into a everyone gets into a honeymoon phase right when you start dating a significant other, anything like that. And then what our divorce rate here in America is 45%.
I'm fact checking.
I think it's higher. I think it's higher than that.
That's
unfortunately.
insane.
So
Dre, you
40
stole my thunder too, but good job.
No,
Glad-
but
glad
for-
that you thought of it too.
45 to 55%.
What is the divorce rate in the United States?
Let Siri announce it.
Is it 45%?
It's 40 to 50%.
Okay. So almost
Give us a range next time, buddy.
Yeah, can you get us a set range?
45 is in the middle. That is a median range. But just being creative on the way you can make your significant other happy, whether it's taking them out to dinner, rubbing their feet. It sounds stupid, but literally just being creative in a relationship, buying them flowers.
We're
So
cutting this. We're definitely cutting.
No, we're not.
No, so you're always in a honeymoon phase, and that is something where you can be creative in a relationship and business, where it's just always thinking of something new to do in life.
We should have titled this subject "Dre's dating advice."
If you need anything, you can call me on the hotline.
Oh,
Listen
man.
after.
1-800-LOVE.
$9.99 a minute.
Seems a little steep.
That's $999 a minute.
That's the going rate these days. Do you want to find love or not?
All right, Logan, what's it? I know you were rudely interrupted by Trey.
No, he's good. He had some good points. I'll just kind of jump on what he said a little bit. So the thing that I was going to say is whether you're a creative person in what you do in work or not, like whether that's in your title, whether you're like a graphic designer or in marketing or something like that, it doesn't matter. If you're in upper level management in a company, if you're an hourly, worker in a warehouse, whatever it is, Amazon driver, you're going to have to get creative at some point in your job. Something is going to go wrong and you're going to have to find a problem for it. And that's going to take some creative thinking. So I think that
They give you 100 packages and you have 2 hours to deliver.
yeah, well, we don't want to talk about breaking the law or speeding.
Also, sometimes when you have a problem, just think about what the actual solution is that you're looking for. And it's hard to do, but try to totally disregard any normal way that you typically get there. Like the solution might not be how you've been doing things in the past. That really almost shouldn't even come up. Like figure out what the goal outcome is, and then try to think about all the possibilities and not just relate it to what you've done in the past.
It's a very good point.
I think that creativity comes from a different part of your brain. And I think using as much of your brain as possible all the time that I have a lot of, like you said, an easy solution to a problem that I've overcame multiple times. So when I know how to do it, a lot of times I'll look at it and I'm like, if I could solve this 5 different ways, what are 5 different ways I could solve the same problem? And then I start running those scenarios, but it's like, and it doesn't always, I think a lot of times the word creative, people think of like art, they think of like graphic design, they think of something like that. When I think of creative, I think of something completely different. I think of a creative way to look at a space.
Yeah.
I look at a creative way on if everyone does business one way, how could you do it differently? I think of creative with different.
Like almost outside of the box.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's like, it was just something like growing up, like you were given a box of Legos and it's like, what did you do with those Legos? And like everyone has a different idea of what it comes to. And it's like, you give all of us a 500 set of Legos with no directions, we're all going to come up with something different. To where it's like, go to a market space of anything, and how can you be more creative than the next person? The people that find the most creative solutions in the world are the most successful people.
It's called McDonald's.
But look at it, they were creative on the process that they used. Elon Musk was creative on a different way that he wanted to do everything pretty much.
Yeah.
But it's like you look at Steve Jobs, he was creative in what he did, and his creative was making it simpler. Like that's the crazy thing is everyone had this creative way of thinking of it, and they thought to like make this as complex as possible, keep making it like
Keep reiterating.
keep making him look different, everything like that. And he's like, he took it way back.
Well, you hit on the Legos thing. Like, think about how happy kids are. What do kids do? They sit there and they use their imagination all day long. They haven't been in school. They haven't been told what to think, how to think. Don't do this, don't do that yet. And that's some of the happiest years of our life is because we express that creative side. They ask questions 24/7. They always want to know why something is the way it is. But school and the system and everything that we're taught teaches us not to do that.
That's true. And I do want to come back to that on the kids, the negativity, happiness, everything like that.
Let's be there now.
Oh yeah.
You want to be there now?
Let's do that
All right,
as the
let's
next
roll.
one.
It is time. Let's roll into the next one.
I don't know how that question should be prefaced.
What say?
Kids, time, happiness. What is happiness?
Yeah. So I was thinking on a lot of times on happiness. So we can tag this one as happiness.
Happiness.
Why are kids so much happier than everyone else?
Because they don't have no bills. Kids don't have bills.
Dre's bringing the truth today.
You know, someone who would have been listening to this go, kids don't have bills, but
Yeah, we would have been like, oh no, they're so creative. And everyone listening is like, that's fucking bullshit.
They don't have bills. No, but I think kids don't have a past. Like
That's true.
it's crazy to think of like as that simple, but think about how many adults walk around fucking stewing on a past that they have, that lives in their head rent free all day, every day. That my parents did this to me. I had this happen to me. This happened to me then. And it's like everyone stores all of the negative shit up there, and it's like right at the forefront of their thinking day in and day out. Like kids haven't had all that shit happen to them yet. I'm not going to say every single kid. There's definitely people that have had rougher upbringings and things like that's not always glorious. But what I'm saying is like, I think happiness comes from a lot of times of what you think about all day, every day. And kids don't sit there and have those, their head's not filled with those bad memories. They're thinking of what's going on in the now, but they're thinking about the future.
I don't really think kids think about the past or future. They just think about the present.
So that's actually exactly what I was going to say is being present and in the moment. Like as you're a kid, it's usually a novel experience that you're walking into. A lot of times it's you're seeing something for the first time. That's why they're so curious. And as you grow up, that gets a little bit mundane and you kind of lose that curiosity and you're sort of going through the motions. But one of the ways you can get back into being present is using an app like Headspace. Download below. We'll put our affiliate link.
Second sponsor.
No, but when you're more in the moment in life, you're going to enjoy it more because you find the appreciation for all the little stuff that otherwise you just totally go right on by. It's like you open your window when you're driving and you actually enjoy the weather instead of just going home.
You remember when you got like hurt as a kid and your parents are like, you didn't think about that before you did it? You're just like, no, I just did it.
So I
didn't have the same problem.
I always thought about it before, and then
It's
I
like
didn't do
when
it.
you were 4 or 5, you always thought about it right before you did it.
Yeah.
I've always had that like register in my
Yeah.
head of like the consequences of what.
So you guys had a
This
depressing.
explains so
You guys
much.
you guys didn't have very much happiness growing up. Is that what we're talking about? Because I was a very happy child. I lived in the present.
Dre lived in his jeans and barefoot.
I think it's crazy how many like adults you run into, and I don't want to say this is like a huge bad thing or good thing or whatever, but how many people do you like meet, and within the first 5 minutes they're talking about something so far in the past that you're like,
I don't know if I wouldn't say I never bring up the past at all, but it's incredibly rare that I'm like, hey, remember when?
exactly. Like
I can't talk about it. It
Like,
drives me insane.
I will talk about funny stories that I have, but like if somebody like if I was to talk to somebody about my past, they are going to see a highlight reel of the best things. They are never going to know about the shitty line that was underneath it of any bad thing that happened. Those things are things I just blocked out. Those don't need to live in the forefront of my head. I am moving forward. There's nothing that can take place now that make those go away. That's going to make that better. And some people may disagree with that. Some people think that they need to go and explore that all day, every day to try to fix it. But it's like, I'm a believer in like moving forward, looking what you have in the present, being grateful for what you have in the present, and looking at those as all learning opportunities to make you the person you are today, to be that version, to move forward.
I think that's what you said. Is
You said fuck you again, Logan.
Gosh, Trey, shut the fuck up. You want this seat?
No, with what he said is you took those as a learning opportunity. So you weren't dwelling on it. You took it as a learning opportunity. And then you moved
That's
past
what I
it.
Learning.
No, but there's two ways of interpreting it. Is like you can dwell on that and then you always are going to fall back on that, or you can learn from it and move forward.
I 100% agree.
So,
That's where I was getting with that. Thank you. Done.
mic drop. Dre's off the podcast.
I think you just repeated what I said.
So what I was going to say is that I think it's difficult for people when they've made bad decisions in their past. And I think we've all made bad decisions, and bad decisions are hard to get past and hard to get over. But what's worse than the bad decision itself and trying to get over it is ruining the next chapter of your life, thinking about the bad decision that you made. So if you had a bankruptcy, for example, you're still alive. Are you healthy? Are you able to, live a life? Now, you might not be able to live the life that you want to right now, but you have the potential to put yourself in a situation to do that again. But if you live life down because of that one mistake that you made or that bad situation, it's just going to carry over into the next.
But also, if anyone ever correlates their happiness with money,
Yeah, and that
Like
was just
that-
an example
but
that came to mind.
the sad thing is there's a lot of people that do that. Like a lot of people correlate their whole entire life on, if I have money, then that's what's going to make me happy. And if you chase that your whole life, I promise you life's going to be really fucking long, and you're going to get to the end and you're going to have a lot of regrets.
Because you're never, no matter how much money you make, you're always going to want more, and you're never going to get to a position to where like
It's
that line in the sand that you're trying to reach is always just going to keep getting farther.
Yeah. You have survival, you have status, which most people live at status. Then you have freedom, and then you have purpose. That is the pyramid that everyone is trying to climb in life. And survival is if you can eat, if you can have water, the basic necessities that a human needs. You get to status, which is where most people live, and they're chasing dollars and cents forever, thinking that's where their next level of happiness is. You're going to find happiness with freedom. Once you start finding freedom of owning your time, and then you're going to find true happiness with finding your actual purpose of why you're here.
Yeah.
And,
I think that's a big one, is the purpose.
and
Because
most people will never find a point in life that they're ever even looking at their purpose.
I think you can reach, like, status is different to everyone. Obviously, status isn't the same, because you can reach a certain, and there's some of the happiest people that I know, they wake up, they go to work, they do the same job every single day, they come home, they have their purpose that they see, they love their family, they hang out with them, they do stuff on the weekend, they go to church on Sunday morning, they live their life, and that's their purpose, and they're completely happy.
I don't disagree with it. Sometimes
And that's
I'm jealous
a great thing.
Sometimes I watch it.
That's
I'm like,
amazing. That's
the amount of stress I take on in a month. Sometimes I'm like, that was kind of nice. I'm like, maybe I don't need all this shit. Like,
Yeah. And then it's just, I think it's your perspective on things.
yeah.
I think that's what a lot of it boils down to.
But,
so. All right. We are
But next
definitely
topic,
on
let's
time.
talk about, do you have one?
no, I gave the last one.
Oh, okay.
Now Ricky said, "Fuck you, Logan."
You got
Listening.
one?
No.
Yeah. So how about you just zip it down there? Ricky has one.
Let's talk about being able to adapt and welcoming change.
All right, Dane. Let's start it off.
All right. I think adapting is what adapting and changing is such a key in back to the growth that to ever grow in life, you're going to have to learn to adapt. You're going to have to learn to change. And if there's one things that I feel that humans hate most, it's change.
Totally. It's like our primal brain is like, whoa, we were just comfortable. What's going on here?
And you say the word comfort, and that is uncomfortable. Change comes with uncomfort. And that is what so many people like. They're so fearful of being uncomfortable all the time that once you get to where you can live in the uncomfortable space, success and everything you want is right there at your fingertips. You just have to grab it. And it's like you watch this on everything. Like people get so stuck in this like comfortable spot, but they're not willing to adapt to a market change. They're going to say, this is how I've done it for 20 years.
You're right.
Well,
This
guess
is what we're used to.
The market says it's different now. If you want to keep up with the market, this is what you have to do. And the sad thing is, I hate to say this, but the older generation right now is feeling it really heavy. That there's an older generation out there that like the market's different. The way that you communicate with people is different. The way you manage people is different. Like there are so many things that change so fast in our world now. What used to change in a year or two is happening in a month or two.
Like money is completely different than it used to be.
All of it, like every bit of it, you look at how fast things change. Like you have to be on your toes all day, every day. Like, and if you're not keeping an eye on that stuff, you're getting left behind. And a lot of people will sit there and they don't even know why it happened. It's like, because you didn't do anything different. You stayed the same. You never got uncomfortable. And the time it blew right by you.
You were probably like working, and then you found something that worked, and you're like, all right, we can chill now. And it kept working for a while, and then eventually it's just probably not going to work anymore.
How many things have we changed in Moss Marketing Group since it's open?
A lot.
I can tell you how many we've changed in the last week.
Exactly. So it's like weekly we're changing things. Like daily I'm thinking about what things need to be changed to move that needle further forward and adapt to what market is wanting, to adapt to what business owners are wanting, to adapt to the problems we can solve for a business owner. And there's so many things that are right there in front of us all the time. But changing all those things is not comfortable by any means.
And when you say change, you're not reinventing the wheel. You're just kind of taking steps towards a different path.
100%. I will say there's business owners out there that do have certain things that work really well, and they just try to, once again, reinvent the wheel. That I'm not saying that.
Change can be bad in business if you're changing all the time.
Yes, but I would say more of adapting terminology.
Yeah.
To you're going to see things that work. So if you take that thing that works or that product, that service, whatever it is, why is it working? Figure out why it's working. Think about how you can adjust it to make it work better.
I think you find that thing that works, you try to mimic that in 5 different other ways, and then you see which one of those works better, and then you really iron out why that's working better. And then that could progress you forward into actually making more money or making your service better in whatever you're doing.
For sure. Something that goes a lot into this as well is having an open mind. So I think when we talk about the older generation, that's where they struggle a lot, is not being open-minded, whether it's to change new beliefs, the younger generations, whatever it is. And I think to keep an open mind, it goes right back to the first thing that we talked about with the continuous learning, the self-development and growth. When you're always learning about new things, you're always reading, hearing other people's perspective, you're automatically going to naturally start to think that way, and you're going to have an open mind about things and be more prone to change.
Having an open mind is huge, and don't assume that you know everything you need to know.
Yeah.
Because if you knew everything you needed to know, and you're not wherever you want to be, there's probably something you don't know. Either you don't know something about how to get to where you're trying to go, you're not taking the action that you know, or you haven't given it enough time.
You know, the funniest thing that I have encountered since starting a marketing company is the fact that I will speak to business owners. They say, we don't need any marketing.
Maybe they don't.
And I'm like, so, and I can name off a business right off the top of my head that's down the street that's 10 times their size. And I'm like, so that company, would you ever want to be the size of them? Oh, yeah, I would like that. How do you think that they got there? Like, it is just the most like mind-blowing shit that like,
these all just tie into each other because that goes right back to the discipline versus motivation thing.
Yeah.
Like you want something, but you're not willing to take the steps to do it.
Their goal-
We are all guilty of that, but
for
you know,
sure.
that's a great example of that.
But it's like, I feel like when we talk about those things that we want, those goals, we as a team are actively moving forward to figure out how to get there every single day. We're actively moving that needle forward. But it's like, you look at two business owners that sit down the street that both had the same goals. One has 50 employees and one has 10. And the one that has 10 says, I don't need to do anything different, but I want to be like them. If there's one thing I promise you, you're not going to be like them.
You got to rub your genie.
Yeah. I think,
If
I don't
you-
know if people are hiding
Wishes.
genies in the bottle underneath their desk
If-
or what.
If you keep doing the same thing you've been doing for the last 10 years, why would it be any different?
Is that insanity?
Something like
Is that what it's
I
called?
think that's how that quote goes.
Yeah.
Something along those lines.
All right.
What-
All
next,
right.
next topic.
Time.
I think that was like 9. Oh, I know we went over time management,
I know we've really struggled on this.
but
trying
we're
to find my
hitting like
trying to find my
70.
chat GPT.
What
Hold on.
about investing in your personal brand? So let's take the business side, like not from a business forefront, but like as an individual, actually utilizing your social media other than just like a, hey, what am I doing? So you can relate to business, but from the individual's aspect and not a business account.
I think you should start off with that one because
I'll
I
take
feel like out of us, you have the best personal brand.
So
I know I'm on the
You-
uprise, but
Your guys' last name is on the company.
So if you go by personal brand though, because that is interesting. So I built my social media platform mainly through like fitness stuff. I was trying to be the online coach guy. So if I post anything fitness related, which is almost never now, it gets way more engagement than everything else that I have. But that's because my personal brand was built around fitness. That's why those people are there. So if you're giving them something that's totally off base, the numbers don't really matter. You could have 1,000 followers or 500 followers. If those are all the right people
Yeah.
that you're trying to reach, that's worth more than 1 million followers.
Yeah, for sure.
I think personal branding is people needing to know what you do. And I could go down my street of all my neighbors, and I think I know what one of them does. 2, maybe.
Well, they all think you sell drugs. So
They do with all the cars they drive, but they probably do. No, but it's like it's funny when I run into people all the time that they're like, "Oh man, the marketing thing's going great." Like that's the first thing people ask me, and I'm like, and I don't want to be rude, but it's like I don't even know what they do.
Yeah.
I've never been informed what they do. We're friends on Facebook. Their Facebook doesn't say what they do. Like I don't know. Like
they know we eat tacos on Tuesday.
But it's
you're
like-
the taco guys. Right?
having a personal brand and having people know you and being in front of them all the time is, I think that's what builds a network. Like I went to an event last night that I had probably 40 plus people come up to me that I haven't been there in a year. I haven't been there. Like I go there each year, but
I'd
at
say
this
like
event,
4 years.
no, I've gone every year
Yeah, he
since.
won last year.
But it's like when I go to this event, I've been out of the space longer, but more people are coming up to me every time I go there. Like that number's increasing as the longer I'm out of it.
You're becoming a legend.
No, but it's something that like when you go to it, it's like it's a personal brand that people see that all the time. And it's every single person that's coming up to me is asking me about marketing. It's because I've branded myself into that spot that I want anybody that sees me somewhere, they know that's what I do. Because I did it in the car space and I sold my network of people I sold vehicles to was huge. But when people knew me in the car space, they knew they could come buy a car from me and they knew I was going to take care of them during that deal, and they knew that I was going to take care of them after.
Yeah.
I went to lunch with a guy today that's still driving a truck that he bought from me. He's like, this is the best truck I have ever bought. And that was like 4 years ago. But it's having that personal brand, having a name that's actually worth something. And I think that goes a lot with your brand, that there's a lot of people out there like they see somebody like, yeah, that dude's a shitty dude. Like that's my biggest fear in life.
Your reputation's a big part of personal branding. Obviously, the first thing we think of is like online social media, stuff like that. But following through with what you say you're going to do and treating people right, I would consider that part of your personal brand as well, because that's the reputation and the way you make people feel, that's going to spread.
Don't cut me off here.
100%.
So that's what I was going to say. I have a little bit of a different perspective on it. I think obviously for the business owner or the salesperson or someone like that listening, that's super important. It's a must. Honestly, if you're a business owner, you have to build a personal brand around, yourself and tell people what you do. But for the, everyday person that works a corporate job, I think social media can be used more as, like I have a unique perspective on it too, that whether I build a big brand or not, I think it'll still be cool to look back on that as a documentation of my life. It's pretty cool to think about looking at that 50 years from now and seeing the stuff that we did.
I did some like social media YouTube stuff back in the day. I so wish I had more.
Yeah, for sure. And what I was going to get at with that is that I was going to say that for those people, though, your personal brand is more so the type of person you are in real life and the reputation that you hold. Because whether you're trying to sell something to someone or not, at some point, you're going to need favors from people. You're going to want to, hang out with people. You're going to want to get loans from banks or something. It's just like your credit score. You got to keep a good reputation.
Yeah, man. And that's just going to like one of the best parts about life is all the people that you meet along the way and enjoy that journey with. And
for sure.
If you're a total shithead, guess who you're going to attract? More total shitheads.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's me. I'm good to talk. No, I was
Turn
just
his
saying.
mic back.
I plead the fifth.
No, I think personal brand is something that has became big in the last 5 years.
No.
5-10 years.
I think it's been a little.
No, I'm saying on a social media side where used to you need to be a good person, you do that and hold a good reputation. But now your reputation isn't being seen by tens of thousands of people. It's being seen by hundreds of millions of people.
I'm going to have to disagree on
Please. Why?
reputation, just personal brand, has always been a thing.
I'm not saying reputation. Reputation has always been a thing. I'm saying personal branding for yourself.
I would say it could potentially be more important now because it spreads so fast. Like if you have one area that you mess up on, that's going to spread a lot faster than it would have back in the day.
Yeah.
So you need to be more on top of that.
People nowadays can start leveraging their following. So that's what a lot of people do. So-called influencers, they start leveraging a following because they're able to build a personal brand and do that for themselves now, which wasn't a thing.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
So I think it still was a thing. It just wasn't on social media. Like it was like your dad built a personal brand around himself with the bar business or with his home loan business back in the day. It just wasn't on social media. Times change. The ways that we do things change.
Our dad went to a high school reunion. I'm going to say that was 40 years.
Don't
Dre,
call his age out. He just went to a high school reunion.
I do agree with your point, though. It has social media. It's become more prevalent with social media, but it still was a thing. There was just less people doing
The
it.
multiplier has got bigger.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
But like our dad went to a
high school reunion.
40-year reunion.
Bleep that out.
High school reunion.
Sorry,
So
Dirk.
he goes to this deal last week or whatever. And he goes, when I get there, he goes, everyone is coming up to me about following my sons on social media and what Moss Marketing Group is doing. But it's like, these are people we've never met in our lives. But it's just that network can grow so quickly out there. And I focus on like a social media network, but I also focus on a just personal, like real life network. I think sometimes people get lost in a social media network.
Mm-hmm.
And I know people that have a lot more followers than me that are shitty human beings.
Yeah.
And they think because they have a bunch of following that they are like bigger than me, like, or as like a better person. But it's like, I focus when I go out in a day to try to make people smile, try to be the best person that the person working at the gas station has ran into all day. when you see that homeless person, don't be an asshole walking by. Help them out. Like your life is, be thankful enough for the life that you have there to take a second to help someone else.
Yeah.
And help those people out. And I'll tell you, you do that all the time, that personal brand, that reputation, everything like that will follow just because you're being a good person all the time. When people aren't looking, when people are looking, just do it day in and day out, and everything else will come behind it.
And also, one last thing on the social media aspect of things with personal branding is that, especially I feel like with our generation, we're used to seeing those mega influencers that have astronomical numbers. For a while, I was like, dang, I keep putting these daily reels out and it's like only like 500, 600, 700 views. And I waited for a second. I was like, oh yeah, that's a lot of people. And also keep in mind, there's a lot more people that see it and are watching that actually engage with things. And that doesn't mean they're not paying attention. So just because you're not seeing the numbers on the likes and stuff like that doesn't mean it's not having an impact.
I'm just saying, when they used to, dude, I was literally talking. When they used to sell newspaper, they said it would hit like 1,000, 1,500 people. And you're like, wow.
What?
Yeah.
Now it's like,
I don't remember that, but yeah.
well,
we
The
we used
magazine
to-
lady.
someone
yeah, we used to,
That was in a very small area.
but what?
They won a lot of money for
It was
it.
up in Lathrop, Missouri.
No, but you do that. They're like, we can hit this. And now it's like,
Don't,
I just had that many people view
no
it.
offense to Lathrop by Logan.
Nope.
Great place.
I want
Yeah,
to
no,
move.
great place.
If it were
No.
me, I would move to Lathrop. It's a great place. They have
no.
great
What were you going to
schools.
say though, Logan?
I was just gonna say I had a crazy thought with that. That's a great way to think about it because, like, I think, only like
100%.
like I look at how many people see posts that I put out, and not that many people like them, but
12.
like, yeah, 13 people, no, like 400 or 500 people, and I think that's not a lot. Like that kind of sucks. But I just thought about it like. That's the entire size of my high school.
Dude.
It's like me getting up there and showing that
Yeah,
to
think
everyone
about-
in my high school.
Think about
K through 12.
Think about 500 people standing out here and you have the chance to tell them something every day.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It is.
That's called a politician.
So next segment.
Do you got one?
Well, I was gonna see if you wanted to talk about like the importance of giving back and like volunteering, or your thoughts on that.
I think that's something that I used to be really good at. And I'll be honest on it. I used to have time set aside for those things, and all through high school, after high school, I've always enjoyed helping people with special needs. And during college, I was a head coach of the Special Olympics for bowling.
Camera just died.
Pause.
All right, Logan, we were hitting on giving back,
Yeah.
and that's something I think is huge for, once again, just doing the right thing by other people.
Yeah.
And when I was in college and even after college, I've always enjoyed helping people with special needs. And I got the question so much when I was in college, like why I did that every single Tuesday night. And it was the most positive human beings I'd be around the whole entire time I was there. And these were people that don't even have the same opportunities as us.
Yeah.
These were adults that have some sort of disability that has put them into a adult home or something like that. And they are so excited to come hang out with their friends and bowl on a Tuesday night. And I'm like, I'm watching all these other people that have every opportunity in the world that they're, quite frankly, just pissing away. And it was just a happy time that I knew I wasn't going to go there and get negative people. I knew exactly what I was going to get every weekend or every week. And a lot of times I'd go on Fridays also, and it was just like a pure group of human beings.
Yeah.
And I think doing that for other people gives you once again, you're finding that sense of purpose. You're finding that something that it's more important than you.
Yeah.
So once again, I haven't been super disciplined about doing that lately. And I actually just talked about it on a call this week that I want to get back into doing that. It was something that I find a lot of joy in that. I find it good for myself. I find it good for the people it's a huge benefit for those people that I can be around also.
Right.
So that is something I'm working on myself to get better at.
Yeah. So kind of crazy. I thought about you the other night. I went to the bowling alley and they were up there, having their bowling night or whatever. And I was like, this is pretty cool. Like I think I'd even had like a little bit of a rough day or something. I wasn't, quite excited to go bowl that night or whatever, but I saw everyone there bowling and how happy everyone was. And I was like, this is pretty awesome that we all get to do this, I'm kind of the opposite though. That wasn't necessarily something that I used to do or used to think about, but it's something that I've kind of put a priority on this year and tried to do at least like once a month. So whether you're religious or not, or believe in God or whatever, I think if you're blessed enough in life to be able to afford things and do things and live a good life or whatever, that it's kind of our responsibility as people to give back and to support other people who aren't as fortunate as us. And there's tons of opportunities out there to do that. So
I remember it was a couple
2 years ago when we went to Camp Rainbow.
No, like we did that. Like we went up and filmed up at Camp Rainbow, which is a whole camp during the summer for kids with special needs.
And what they do is really cool because they've kept it affordable, because care for individuals with disability goes up every year. And they've kept it affordable and haven't changed their prices in 10, 15 years. So
yeah, and even sponsoring kids, that there's tons of opportunities for that. Like even with, just doing things within the community. Like my church last Saturday, I went and my church built 50 beds for kids in the Kansas City area that were sleeping on floors. It's called Sleep in Heavenly Peace. And we just behind the church for 5 hours built beds. And I think it's pretty cool too. Like I don't do it for myself, but whenever I do stuff like that or do harvesters, my church does that as well often. Like I find that it just kind of grounds me a little bit and kind of brings me back to like what's really important in life.
Yeah. I remember when I was in college, I started with the bowling team, and it was like 30 to 40 people were there bowling every Tuesday. And a lot of people don't know how like the Special Olympics works, and like there's donor locations. So Nottoway County up in Maryville that's not like a headquarters. So St. Joe was the main one. And during the time, our family dealership was donating money to it all the time. And I told my dad, I was like, hey, this is something I do up here. I'd like to give money. So they're like, money has to go through St. Joe. And in the Special Olympics, they can try to qualify for state. And state was at what's the fort out in Kansas?
The what?
Fort Leavenworth?
Fort Hays?
No, not Fort Hays.
Fort Osage?
No, the military base.
Fort Scott?
Is it Fort
Riley?
Fort Riley. So Fort Riley
that's bad that we didn't.
So Fort Riley was where
And they're
the state event was at, and Nottoway County didn't have enough money to go. So I called my dad and I was like, can the dealership afford to pay for everyone to go? I was like, I need to take 15 people that have special needs. I have to find a bus. I have to do all this to take them for a full weekend. And I thought, and this is Dane at like 20, 21.
I would say 20.
Like 20. I definitely was not qualified to be doing this. And so dad helps me out and everything. And a driver shows up with a bus at the Walmart in Maryville. And these people start showing up with their grown-up kids or grown-up children with disabilities and just dropping them off to me with bags of medicine. And they have backpacks and sleeping bags. And we're getting on a bus and like they can't go to the bathrooms by themselves. And I have Madison with me at this point, and we've been together a couple of years. And she didn't go Tuesday nights with me. That was like a thing I did. It was just something that was always on my calendar. I told her, I was like, I have to have a female go. Like, I can't go in the female bathrooms and things like that. So I'm like, you have to go. Like, I have to find a female if they're able to go. And she's like, all right, I'll go. And she shows up and she's like looking at me. She's like, what did you get us into? And we go out to Fort Riley and they get to compete in state bowling and everything. And it was one of those things, like after I got done with it, I was like, I can do anything. But it was like so cool to see happen that we were able to make that happen for those people that was a highlight of their life.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what I was going to say. You know what's even cooler is that that's something that they'll remember the rest of their life.
yep. And like we talked about when we went up to Camp Rainbow, this is something that they're in these like bunk houses that are so hot that Dre and I were like sweating like crazy. And
I don't know. I don't know
And-
how they did it.
when they leave there, they pack their bags for the next year. They have their bags packed year round to go to this one event.
Yeah.
That's like 4 days for them. Like, I just look at that as like what we take so much for granted in our lives
Mm-hmm.
that there's some people out there that never have the opportunity to do exactly what we're doing right now. And people are so blind to even see that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think giving back is a huge deal. And it's, once again, something I need to
I think that is
get
something
better at doing more often.
I think it's something someone should do every week, if not every month. But make sure that is a priority on your calendar to give back. No matter what it is, whether it's building beds for the church, Habits of Humanity, you can help do construction on houses, you can help paint houses to give back to people in lower income housing. It's you can give back in some way. You can
Or
do a
you-
food drive.
If you don't have the time, but you have the financial resources, donate to something that you connect with.
Yeah, there's 100 different ways.
Big brothers, big sisters.
It's
There's tons of them.
I think it's something that everyone should have, and you're doing a lot more, not just for yourself, but for someone else.
All right. On to the next one. What's our final one going to be?
Come on, Dre.
Dre, you haven't
Gotta have one.
What is your purpose? I don't think. I don't.
I don't really have an answer for that.
Okay, you start this one.
Yeah.
What's
Okay.
your purpose,
What's your
Dre?
purpose, Chief?
Let's hear yours, and we'll decide if we're going to answer this question.
Yeah. Then we'll just move on to the
No,
next.
you guys just grill me every time anyway.
We know.
I told you I didn't have my phone.
Oh.
My traps are sore.
Hey, everyone!
I was gonna say,
everyone watching on YouTube, I'm holding Dre's phone
Does
up
Logan
right
have
now.
2 phones?
Two phones, one for the.
I'm going back through mine.
All right, here I'll read from my list, and you can tell me if we want to hit one.
Or do you want to hit our final one on the importance of mindset?
I feel like we already kind of touched on that.
I feel like that's kind of the whole overarching theme. But yeah, sure, yeah,
Overarching.
yeah.
We'll start with Ricky on
Hit
this
it.
one.
Mindset is absolutely everything. So whether you have, really it's perspective, I would say, which is kind of a correlation that we had through everything we talked about, whether it was giving back or the time management or adapting to new stimulus, anything like that. It's the perspective that you have and the power that you give things. Because at the end of the day, the same situation can happen to 15 different people and you're going to have 15 different results. And what they associate that thing with is what meaning they have in their head. And that's the outcome they're going to get. So if you think something was the worst thing in the world, then you're going to be pretty down about that. But if you think about the positive that's going to come out of it, that's going to be completely different. So I think perspective is huge.
I like
Yeah.
that.
I agree with that. I think that shapes the entire makeup of your life, and that determines your happiness. That determines how satisfied you are, what you go after, and really the type of person that you are. I mean, it's pretty easy to tell within 10 to 15 minutes, sometimes quicker, of meeting someone where their mindset's at. If they're a positive person, if they're a negative person, what makes them tick. That's how we read people. It's how people are constantly evaluating you. If you have a positive mindset, if you have a positive outlook on life, I think it's the most important thing that we can think about on a day-to-day basis is being positive and maintaining a good mindset on life.
I just try to be a positive person. Like it sounds bad, but I've separated myself from a lot of individuals that aren't positive just because it does affect me in my personal life. And whether it's personal, business, anything, I when I go into work, if I've had something that came up in my personal life, I separate it from work. If I had something that came up in work, I separate it from my personal life. But it's something where finding that separation has been hard for me, to where when you come home after a long day, it's just like you dwell on something. It's where you have to set it aside, take a minute, and then you work through that process to figure out how you can go back in with a new mindset and overcome that, to not just sit there and, like we talked about earlier, dwell on something.
Yeah. I think that mindset and what it does, I view my life all the time as a book. Like, I view life as a book, and I'm writing every chapter. And I view that mindset as like, if somebody was to read this book, what would they think of me? Like, so I kind of watch, like, I feel like I try to watch my life from like a bird's eye view all the time of what do the people around me, what would they say my mindset looks like? Because I think so many people get so inside their own head that they don't view it from the outside perspective. And it's like, so I sit there, and as I progress and I finish chapters of this book, like, one day I wish that my life would be something that could be written about.
Yeah.
So I hope my mindset like perceives something that could be a book that somebody would want to read. Like, I feel like so many people go through life, and it's like, go to Barnes and Noble. How many books are there written on people?
Books have high highs and low lows.
But it's like,
that's the cool thing about autobiographies, is that we are all living a life that we could write into an autobiography. Think about, would someone want to read it? I mean,
and that's the thing is, like, look at the life that you're living. Look at what you're doing every day. And any person out, like, we all have the opportunity of making that life that we want, that somebody would write a book about one day. But it's like, look at the last 5 years of your life from a bird's eye perspective. Is that a book you would have read? Is that something that that you read that and you're like, I want to go hang out with that guy. I want to go hang out with that person.
Yeah.
Most of the time, I think most people's answer would be no. So it's like, I sit there and I try to take a step back all the time. Like, what was the last chapter like? Did I do everything I could? Could I do everything in my power to make that chapter great? And when I look at that, I know what I need to change when I write the next chapter. I know where that mindset was messed up. I know where the flaws were, to where it's like every chapter gets better. The best chapter of that book should be the very last one. So it's like, I think mindset holds all the power on how you write that book.
Yeah.
I love it.
But
That was fun. I enjoyed
it
it.
was.
it was a little different podcast.
I was trying to remember this when we were talking. I don't know if we can cut it if it's just completely off topic, but I was trying to remember what this was whenever we were talking about like motivation, discipline type thing. So do you know who Jesse Itzler is?
I've heard the name.
So he's Sarah Blakely's husband, the woman that founded Spanx. She's a boss too. He founded NetJets, and like he was a DJ, did a whole bunch of cool shit. So I heard him speak at one of Grant Cardone's growth conferences, and this is the thing that stuck with me from that conference. And he had an Instagram post about it, and I was trying to find it. And it's 2 words to live by and practice. And I've tried to keep these with me, and they're remember tomorrow. He says, these 2 words, if practiced regularly, will change your life. These will impact your mindset and, more importantly, your actions. Remember, mindset only works if it translates into actions you take and the decisions you make. Remember tomorrow means think about how your decisions today will impact you tomorrow. You want to drop out of that marathon at mile 18 because you have a tiny blister. Cool. Until tomorrow. You want to pass on the driving 2 hours for sales calls because you'd rather go to that party. That's cool. Until someone else makes the drive and gets the deals. How will the decisions you make today impact your tomorrow? This decision-making process is a tool that really helps me. And
So very much on that, the way I look at life as a book, and I also look at life as a game. What game are you playing? That if you're playing a game of chess and you're thinking one play ahead, every decision you make has a consequence.
Yeah.
It's either going to be good or bad.
Yeah.
And too many people don't think about those decisions when they make them.
Mhm.
And it's because they're not thinking for the future. What you do today, think about what that does to your future. If you can start playing a game in the future, I'm telling you, the game in the present gets really easy.
Yeah.
Those decisions that you make in that day become really easy to make.
Yeah.
When you think about what that impacts a year from now, what that impact is 3 years from now, I can make a decision so fast because when I make that decision, I do not think about today at all. I think about a month from now. I think about 6 months from now. I think about 12 months from now. I think about 5 years from now. I've talked about it with hiring people, like when I've went over things with different companies that we work with. Is that person here 5 years from now? And they're like, no. I'm like, not a question. Like those are things that like you're playing a game of chess. What does that game look like? Because go play someone in chess that plays one move at a time.
Yeah.
You will smoke their ass all day long.
Yeah.
Like no questions asked. But it's like you also have to know how to play the game to win. And it's like some people never learn the game of life to even play. And it's
chess is a perfect analogy. They say a grandmaster thinks 15 moves ahead, a pro thinks 5 to 10 moves ahead, and a novice thinks about their next move. Life is the same way. Are you going to be a grandmaster or are you going to be a novice?
so Patrick Bet David does talk
I think
about,
that might have been his real, honestly.
so he does talk about in the game of business only playing 5 moves ahead. That's why he named his book that.
Yeah.
Because he says if you're playing too far, he goes,
It just doesn't even matter.
He goes, you can't see that far into the game of business. So he goes, but if you're playing too short, he goes, you always lose. Yeah. So he goes, there's I forgot the words they used. It was like having agility or something like, but very much so. I think in business, there's a fine line of playing that you can think about in the future, but you still have to make the present work on the short term of business because we can talk about 5 years from now, but we have no earthly idea what that looks like.
You still have to move one piece before you can move 15 pieces later.
Yeah, but it's
For
like
sure.
you look at, we make a move today and it's going to be 3 months from now, we're going to be like, oh, that was irrelevant. Yeah. And it's like, or it's something that led up to something else. And then it's like, but a lot of times I'll look at those moves in business on what that led to this led, and I'll kind of like piece them all together that it is a game. Business is a game. Life's a game. Like, how are you playing it? Are you playing ahead? If life is catching you off guard all the time and shit just randomly happens to you, like, and it just catches you one time after another, it's probably because you're playing too short.
Mic drop.
I think we summed it up.
Summed it
That
up?
was pretty good.
Yep. Logan definitely summed it up. So that is going to be the M3 podcast. See you again next week. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the M3 Podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Want to learn more? Check us out on Instagram at Moss Marketing Group, on Facebook at Moss Marketing 58, or on our website at mossmarketinggroup.com.